So, Ubisoft, what's it like to lose? We wouldn't know over here. We wouldn't know. That's right, you're reading that correct right there in that bright red apology background. Here it comes again. Assassin's Creed Shadows will now release on February 14th of 2025. That's right, for Valentine's Day. You can bring home the magic of murder. That's what I think of, on Valentine's Day, spending time with sweetheart, just murdering people. Why not, right? What else is red on Valentine's Day? Blood, apparently. So, speaking of blood in the water, here is what Ubisoft had to say about tucking their tail on this one. So it says, "Dear players, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour, ooh, or the renewed stealth brought by new technology, all set in a beautiful, immersive world. This is an ambitious addition to the franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists. But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience, pushing further some of our key features, such as we've made a decision to postpone the release date of this game to February 14th, 2025. Assassin's Creed Shadows will release on a broad range of platforms, including Steam, at launch. Additionally, pre-orders, wherever you can find them, will be refunded, and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free. Gee, it's a Concord situation again, huh? Just refunding those things left and right. So they're already in the negative on this. So here we go. We understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who have been waiting patiently for an Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan. But we sincerely believe this is in the best interest of the game and ultimately your experience as a player. Rest assured, we are looking forward to the moment you will embark on a memorable adventure with Naue and O.R.C.A. Until then, we thank you for your ongoing support. Mark Alexis Cotier, on behalf of all teams working on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Wow. I mean, that's just kind of the cake topper, right? Like we reported yesterday, they ran from Japan and now they're like, whoopsies. Looks like we've got to go out and do some more work on the game after all. Now, there has been speculation that they're going to add a DLC that will include a Japanese-born male protagonist. So perhaps that's the goal in mind, is that they went to Japan, got roughed up by the people there, and then went back to Quebec, went back to Canada, where this is all headquartered, the development of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and decided they'd crank out a male Japanese protagonist DLC. That's my theory on what they're doing here, especially since they mentioned parkour. They wanted to mention that they had two unique protagonists, but we realized we need more time to polish and refine the experience, okay? So what that tells me is that they're not impressed with what the reception is to Yasuke being the male protagonist. That's what kind of the takeaway is, in my opinion. So we may see the return of Yamauchi Taka. That was the protagonist, the intended protagonist for Assassin's Creed Shadows 10 years ago when this project originally got pitched. So keep in mind that this is my own speculation. I am just kind of pulling out of thin air like they did with Yasuke's history, Ubi-Yasuke. But I am suspecting that in the time frame that they need, that's enough time to design a new protagonist, get the rigging done on him, so that way he matches up with all the other movements in the game, and he's more fluid in his motion than Yasuke, and there's still room for Naue being a bit more nimble than him due to her lighter frame, That could be how that goes. There's time enough for it, believe me. That's enough time for them to go and do even the mocap necessary to introduce this character and record all of his scenes. It really is. I'm not kidding you. You can take from now, this is September when this video goes up. You could take from now to December and still print out all those games in time. You can get this done just before Christmas and shoot all the scenes you need to, do all the mocap you need to, and place that in the game for the DLC, right? So it doesn't interrupt the main game because you haven't got time to fix that. But you can now build that DLC in, so it's not something that's like duct taped over the top of the game. It actually fits in nicely. It just weaves into the rest of it. So if you want to play as the Japanese male protagonist, you can download the DLC, which again, they'll probably charge you for because it's Ubisoft. Why not? So they'll go ahead and charge you for that. And then you'll be able to play the game rather than having just the two choices. You'll now have Yamauchi Taka, or Taka if you prefer. And so that would be kind of my guess. What happened here is that they actually landed in Japan. They were talking to the staff, and the staff was like, I don't know if you didn't get our emails, but things aren't great. Things aren't great. They found the toy. Yeah. We talked about that in our previous video. At the end of this one, I'll make sure to link to that previous video, so when the recommend comes up, it'll be the previous video that covers them running away from Japan. As I said at the top of the video, what is it like to keep winning, to keep losing rather, because we don't know here. We don't know on our side of this, because they're keeping they're taking loss after loss, L after L after L. It's a wrong hand, I know, whatever. L after L, there we go. L after L after L, over and over and over again, right? And I just have to say thank you, right? You guys out there, you the viewers, and everybody else who maybe not tunes into this channel, but like out there in the world that's tuning in to other news about this, the Japanese citizens that are pushing back against this. This is what has resulted in it. They're not going to go fix the mats. They're not going to go fix Nobunaga's court. They're not going back to make sure that they don't have butt bowing. They're not going to go back and make sure the rice is inside. You know as well as I do that in the time frame needed, they're doing something major to change that game. And that's my best guess, is they're building a DLC right now to be, and they need to pause the release because of like an actor situation or like a coding situation. I don't know. So there is a voice actor strike, I think, or a mocap actor strike going on. I'm not sure. Let me know down in the comments about that, because that might be the connecting link here, is that the reason why this got pushed back is because that DLC can't get completed in order for the November release, right? Like they had it going already, and then the strike paused it, maybe? I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know down below. I think there is a voice actor, mocap actor strike going on. I'm not sure. But let's just take this in for a moment. Like, think about this. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us. No, I think it's becoming a waking nightmare for you guys. It seems like at every corner you can't get this right. It's a bad decision after bad decision after bad decision over and over and over again. And at this point, I don't think you can turn it back. I really don't think you can run that back down the flagpole. I don't think you can like temper people's expectations about this anymore. You've gone and built up for your fans an impossible expectation of authenticity, which the game, even in the gameplay reveals, doesn't meet. I don't care if it's a build in progress. You're only going to add more light rays, more God rays if you prefer. You're only going to do more ray tracing. You're only going to do more shadow and light movement. That's it. You're not going to add actual scenes and functionality to the game. All right? That's what a work in progress is that some things aren't as glitz and glammy as they're going to be when the final release happens. That's it. And that's what I'm getting at, is that this is a waking nightmare for them. They go on and they're like, oh, this is an ambitious addition to the franchise. Why? Why is this an ambitious addition to the franchise? Why? It doesn't have to be. It's really easy. Sengoku, Japan is just a fascinating place. A lot of things took place during Yasuke's time. Like, you don't even have to go like a long-term time for him, right? If they just boiled it back down to him being there for 15 months, quite obviously a lot happened because Nobunaga didn't make it out of those 15 months, okay? So just consider, right, that there's a lot happening and there's a lot to build off of if you want to tell a historical fantasy story, right? With Jeff, the Black Samurai, who's like the secondary protagonist that helps Taka, you know, and you have Yasuke that helps you do a stealth mission inside of Nobunaga's castle, you know. I would think that this would work out so much easier if they didn't try to push this into the message territory. And of course they have to in order to keep their DEI score so high. We know this too because Ubisoft has their women and non-binary only mentor program coming up soon. Or excuse me, it's already enrolling. So again, hey, if you're that kind of person, that's available to you. If you're a woman person, one of those birthing people. Anyway, it's open to you. If you want to try your hand at blending in with that cattle pasture of bizarre. I'm not sure what to really classify these people as. They seem like conehead space aliens every now and then, just without the comb head part. They seem like they're from another planet, as though they arrived here just recently and they were like, hey, I don't like this stuff. And of course, you have to go back to the history began when I was born, that mentality. And that seems to be like a prevailing sort of attitude with Ubisoft's development team as they come out and explain themselves that, nothing exists outside of their bubble, the company's bubble that they're in. Everything's fine, everything's great. Like what happened with the Concord team when they were kept in their bubble and not allowed to talk, naughty about the development, right? Can't say poo poo to muncha luncha. And here we have this now, right? And again, I want to reiterate it because I'm fascinated by the concept that they may be doing a DLC for the male protagonist. Let me know down below what you think about this, right? Do you think that they're bold enough to try this? To make you pay more money to play the original protagonist? I think they are. I think they are ballsy enough to go all the way with that one and make sure that it's like one of these gold edition things with like umpteen skins, and they continue expanding his story out and beyond the limits of Japan, and they have him participate in like a Korean Japanese conflict. I'm fairly convinced that they're gonna do this because it seems like these two events are connected together. It wasn't like they were hanging out at the office and somebody was like, hey, did you save the last 3 weeks of progress on the game? And everybody looked at each other and they went, oh no. And then the power went out like some sitcom situation. I think that moreover, they went to like the homeland of their effort and realized that they had, really messed the bed with these people, that they had really already taken a weak market for them. Because if you don't know, Assassin's Creed isn't some big franchise in Japan. It's not something like Pokemon. It's not even something like Black Myth Wukong. It is quite American. It's quite West, if you will. And so it doesn't. It has like those sort of interested people like the Japanese equivalent of weeboos and stuff. And of course, there are some Japanese people that are legitimately interested in a history game, right? But by and large, Assassin's Creed is not some tentpole IP in Japan. Now, obviously, they were trying to impress the Japanese with all of their efforts to hire these historians, with all of their efforts to hire all these cultural experts. But in reality, what happened is they ended up creating this bubble that I mentioned where they didn't question anything they were told or decided to believe on their own. So the culmination of people that the company brought in to interact with these teams, or who the teams themselves brought in to interact with, the culmination of these people led to where they are today, that they made such a massive misstep that they can't even make a big deal about advertising in Japan. Like I said it before in a previous video about them showing up at Gamescom with their big old castle, their huge red brick in the middle of Hall C, all right? The reality is that you just need a couple of cosplayers. You need one to play Yasuke, you need one to play Naoe. Just have them run around doing light parkour. They're like jumping off of park benches and ask permission to go to a forest somewhere where they can lean underneath a blooming cherry blossom tree, time it right, and then have that like scene where the two characters are posing with the cherry blossoms just gently dangling down occasionally. Don't molest the trees. Don't whack them with something to make things fall down in a timely fashion. Just go on a windy day. All right? It's not that hard. Just listen to the weather. The Japanese are very accurate, especially with their weather predictions, okay? So trust them in telling you it's going to be a windy day at the cherry blossom orchard, okay? I think that's what it's called, orchard. Anyway, the situation is that again, you could even have like them fooling around in Japan, like they're at a sushi shop and Yasuke can't figure out how to use chopsticks. That would be a funny thing to elude that he's not from Japan, right? That he's an outsider and that he's doubly kind of ostracized in this situation. I don't know. Rather than having people of that period just bow to him while he's walking around in full war regalia, you know? Again, you can have him waiting for the subway, reading a newspaper, and he has it upside down, and Nawe appears behind him, stands up from the bench behind him, reaches over, flips it over, and hands it to him again, There could be cute little moments like that that would endear people to these characters, rather than trying to create them as some kind of revolutionary, ambitious addition to the franchise. See, I think this is the biggest mistake they make in all of this, is beyond really destroying history as far as Japan goes. And I get that they make creative choices with these previous games, right? But they've really destroyed the Sengoku era. We find out that they've smashed together about 300 years of Japanese history into this one segment that they're choosing to focus on. And it's getting real messy as we see more and more of what they've done to make this time more interesting to them, much like how Yasuke wasn't interesting to them. But that is their biggest problem, is that their ambitious and addition talk, this bigger, better thing that they need to do. No. Approaching this by doing everything they've done already, it's making this game seem like it's ceremonial. Making this game seem like it's a step in a new direction. It is breaking boundaries. It is a frontiersman experience. A quadruple A experience. It's not... It's a video game. That's what it is, okay? It's a video game. Calm down. And that's really what they've done, is they've elevated the controversy around this by making this game symbolic of a shift in mentality, of a shift in ideology. They've tried to push this as, this is an authentic representation of Japanese culture, and we are intending to represent the Sengoku era with all sorts of accoutrement with authenticity. We're intending to capture all of the Sengoku-y goodness, And we've heard it, we've covered that. We've covered it over and over again as these devs come out over and over, the directors come out over and over, the art director, the cinematography director, the creative director, all of these people come out and they say the same thing over and over and over again, that they're creating an authentic experience. But they can't be bothered to be authentic with presenting that experience. They have to tell you it's the latest, greatest ever, rather than telling you you're going to have fun playing it. Did Astrobot come in and tell you that it's going to change gaming? That you're going to think differently, that it's an authentic gaming experience? No. Astrobot came in and said, just cute little robots doing cute little robot things, and they occasionally wear costumes that make you remember other things. Simple concept. Black Myth Wukong came along and they said, do you want Monkey Man? And you said, yes. And they said, okay, here's Monkey Man. It's that simple. They just gave you Monkey Man, and it was Monkey Man. And everyone said, wow, Monkey Man, who knew? And that's it. But here you have Assassin's Creed trying to present this whole thing as like this world-changing thing, this massive step in gaming technology and synthetic environment shifts and the first ever real human protagonist in an Assassin's Creed franchise, and the first ever dual protagonist experience, and blah 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 blah. And it's just it's painful to watch because it's just a video game. Now it's a video game that's being pushed back several months, okay? A few months. For polishing. You and I both know what that means. And this corresponds less than 48 hours at least, after they ran away from Japan's Tokyo Game Show 2024. I said it right that time. So there you go. I don't know about you, but I think this is yet another victory. I ran out of sparkling cider to celebrate with, so you'll just have to take my word for it that I'll be celebrating later for this news, because we won again. They are being forced to do something to this game because of the reception that they got in Japan. I guarantee it. I promise you that's why this has happened. So, again, no matter what we find out in the future, we already know they have egg on their face twice now. So I don't know about you guys, but good luck out there.